Hey, good morning, guys. It is Sunday, time for coffee talk, and last night was Oktoberfest, so I am going to need the coffee. I am going to need so much coffee. All right, we're going to go through channel news. Lots of news for the channel, actually. I put out a video last week talking about possible future changes, and I pulled the trigger on multiple things. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Missions and specials, lots of things going on in the game, obviously, as we finish up Tankfest, and some interesting things coming. And then subjects du jour is going to be a bit lengthy because we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about the responses to my future video that I did last week, some of the things that I've done and changes, and then we are going to do a tactics question of the week. We're going to revisit a video that I put out, I guess it was Thursday maybe, where a guy pushed to put somebody out of a bush. I got a lot of really interesting reactions out of that, and I wanted to address some of those things. There's also a Wargaming Fest Q&A, which has some really interesting things in it that we'll go over as well. So let's get started with this with channel news. All right, news-wise, we'll keep this kind of short because most of the news is going to be actually in the subjects du jour when we talk about the changes to the channel, but I'll give you a little foreshadowing on that. My PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring, which is some 1212 gaming gear, t-shirts and such, is down there on the details down there for the video. So take a look at those. The links are there. I'll put those under each video now. And that is part of the outcome of the discussion I had with you guys on that last video when I talked about the future. Really interesting things. That's a lot of stuff I sort of meant to get to and didn't really get to. And it's been a busy week trying to sort some of this stuff out. And a lot of it's still a work in progress. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. But that's all down there. You'll get the details in just a second here. Probably not a second. It's going to be several minutes. The next stream, I'm planning on Wednesday. Should be the 2nd. Yes, Wednesday the 2nd is when I'm planning on doing the next stream. So look for that as well. Appreciate the support on the stream. That one's starting to pick up a little bit of steam. What I really need to do with the stream, I need to find a actual schedule where there's a no kidding day that I can do it. That's really hard for me to do based on 2 teenagers and all the other things I'm doing, but we'll see. I know I've promised that multiple times, but as it starts to grow, maybe I'll be able to carve that little niche out of time somewhere. I'm sort of thinking Monday, even though Monday's not a great night for everybody, it's probably the best for me to have some time for a couple hours on a Monday night and just have a scheduled Monday. That seems to be about the worst. So that's how you, that's how you, what's the word I'm looking for? Grow, right? You pick the worst night. I don't know, maybe old guys would like to watch an old guy play video games on Monday night, right? They've come home from the early bird. They went out at 3:30 in the afternoon to have dinner, and a little nightcap at 7, and by 8 o'clock they're in bed, right? Watching Guido play video games for a couple hours. Well, I think that is a solid game plan. That is a solid business plan right there, I think. That's how we roll right here on Guido's land. What else we got? Don't forget Guido Grind. Make sure you get yourself a Ram 2 and then get yourself a platoon and then Physics Abuse. That seems to be oh man, those guys. Wow. All right, we're not going to get into them. We already talked about them last week. Race week is ending next week, so we've got another week to knock that out, but we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. That's it for channel news. There's actually a lot of big news, but it'll be further on in the video, so we'll move on to missions and specials. Time to get our shield. All right, let's get the second monitor going. Professional would have this done. Your 500 points for your tank rewards should be on your tank rewards account now. You can see mine's up to 935. I haven't really been hitting tank rewards too hard, but that is 500 more than I had right there. I'll tell you one thing about how busy I've been doing all these things for the channel. I just haven't had time to play, and that's kind of interesting. Interesting result from all this. But anyway, you should have your 500 extra points. Also, Care Package India is out if you are a Twitch Prime person. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. Make sure you link your Twitch Prime to your World of Tanks account. It's all on there on the webpage on how to do it. And you will get 14-day premium tank rentals. This is a pretty good deal. Both, I suppose, a Caernarvon Action X and a T26 E5. Those are both Tier 8, one Brit, one US. And then there's a coupon, I believe, for buying it, minus 15%. You get a commander. The cool thing about this 0 skill commander, who also has another 2 skills, I believe. Jack of all trades and, nope, 6 cents, so 3 skills. A 0 skill commander for Brothers in Arms I guess 6 cents is at 0 skill on this. Not see, it's a weird commander. But anyway, one skill's at 0. The other the other two are 100%. And this particular commander is any nationality. That is what's very cool about this particular one. At least that's what it looked like when I went into recruit in the barracks. There was a drop down for any. So I haven't recruited this one, but right now it looks to me like it's any nationality. You get a camo style, you get some medals, who cares, an emblem. These directives, 5 directives of each one of those kind, that's very nice. 3 training booklets for each nation. Holy cow. 20 missions times 5. Those are great, actually. We're going to talk about this a little bit when we get into the sales, and I haven't thought about these times 5 missions that keep popping up too much, but I'll tell you what, they will absolutely boost your grind if you're grinding tanks. So look out for getting, anytime you can get these times 5 for a victory, they are amazing on grinding out tanks. You'll blast through tanks when you've got these time 5 going. You get a day of premium, and then there are rewards for the missions we'll talk about in a minute, but you can get some times 3, you get some universal blueprints, and then down here you get some nice equipment, or not equipment, but consumables, 10 each. That's a good deal right there. And it goes on to getting a, well, I did not notice that. Was there a tank reward in the last one? Look at that. Panzer III Aus K, which now makes me wonder, if you have it in your garage, will you get the gold for that? I'll have to dig into that a little bit. If anyone knows, let me know down below. And then a final reward, times 5 crew XP, 30 times an account. Remember that it looks like the first one is using the Tiger Captured Sea, so you're playing the snot out of your Tiger Captured Sea. All right, so Care Package India is out, the 500 points. The Senlac is on sale. We'll get that in a minute. What else? There was something else here. I guess that was it. Those are the 2 things I wanted to talk about. All right, so Senlac. As far as the sales go, Senlac is out. Probably saw that already. My review is out on that tank. Check it out. As a general observation on this tank, it is a competent tier 8 light tank. Scout, it does not play like the rest of the Brit line because it's not small enough or stealthy enough. It's got a really interesting HE round, high penetration, so it will be able to wreck light skinned light tanks. But that comes with all the HE round stuff that HE rounds do, which is usually letting me down. I thought this was interesting to crank it up to 11. This all this is some gold, some premium, and 75 times 5 missions, which is one of the reasons why I just mentioned the times 5 thing. I haven't really paid much attention to them, and I've wondered about that because I said 69. That's not really, because the 7,500 gold is around 33 bucks. The 30 days is around 11 or 12 bucks. That's not even close to the $69. But if you look at what they think 75 of these times 5 victories are worth, that's 28 bucks. That's what they think it's worth. I don't, but that's just me. You know my stance on whether something's worth it to you or not. That is entirely up to you. But I thought that was just something to note and kind of interesting. But I suppose if you really wanted to crank up a grind or a bunch of grinds, and you had 36 bucks and you said, you know what, give me 100 of these times 5s and I'm just gonna blaze through whatever it is that I'm grinding. Pretty cool. All right. What else we got? The IS-3 is still going on, and that's pretty much it for sales. There's quite a few decent tier 8s on sale. Nothing really amazing there. I only happen to have a 10% coupon left myself. Some of the others have timed out. As far as vehicles go, Senlac, all the different versions of going crazy, all the way up to $99 for a Senlac and all the other stuff that comes with it. The IS-3A is still around, and it's, well, if you want that, you have to do that by today because it's 22 hours, it looks like, at least in my offer. Remember that a lot of times what you see here on my page is not necessarily what you'll see based on a lot of different things. Not worth going into all the different things, but don't get too sad if this doesn't show on yours. And I'll try not to get too sad if you have something better. All right. T-34, I've talked about all this stuff last week, really. There's no changes. Remember that the IS-2 comes with a brother-in-arms crew ready-made. A lot of people will buy these if they, they'll just buy the actual tank. They get the gold compensation, and then they get, basically, quotes, a free brothers-in-arms crew. I don't know if it's exactly free because there is a monetary value on that, I think, but Someone's probably done that math, whether that's actually true or not. Anyway, that is a way to get it if you need it. I don't happen to need crews. I have so many crews, it doesn't really matter. And that is pretty much it, I think, on there. We'll just have to look at the missions next. I don't think there's much else to note. There isn't. Let's move on. Let's look at the missions. Okay, we are back. You have no idea how long it just took me. I think we'll talk about it a little while later. I just changed the URL of my YouTube. I hope that doesn't break everybody's links. I feel like it might. So I was digging around to look for something. Somebody had a question, and then it said, "Hey, you can have a custom URL with no kid in your name because you're like important or something," which I'm not. But so I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that." And then I went, "Wait a minute, is that going to break everyone's links?" So be careful for that. We'll see what happens. Excuse me. All right, missions. What do we got going on? Player tank class right. That's the standard stuff. I should probably break some of those down sometime in the near future for you new guys, but we're not going to do that this week. The Great Race. These are the missions for the race, so you can get more tickets, so you can work on your dog tag, which I don't know if anyone cares about, but there you go. Scavenger hunt is up to the 29th, which means today's code plus 5, you could be up to 34. That's overkill, although you are getting, I believe, the extra goodies each time you do it each day, which are these things right here. Is it these things, or I don't remember which ones. I think it's these every day. Yeah, these are the ones. So you get 3 by 3 by 3 each day, which is great. You see I've got all kinds of these in my depot. What a great deal this is. I mean, think about it. You're doing personal reserves. You're doing those ×5 missions. You guys should be flying up the grind on some of your lines right there. It should be a lot easier. You know, about a year ago when all this stuff wasn't around, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was really getting super grindy in this game because there's so many lines. So what's cool Wargaming has done is made it much easier to grind the lines. So you have a more reasonable expectation to get through a lot more of the lines. Now if we can just make the tech tree lines more worth it, as opposed to just the OP premium of the week, then we'll be somewhere. To be fair, a lot of the recent premiums have not been overpowered, so that's been a good thing. We just went off on a tangent on that one. Scavenger hunt, so that is still going on. This is India. Those are the missions. Once again, is it not going to tell you what to do, really? No. Well, I guess it did. What is this? Play a battle. Okay. There are details on what the... Yeah, okay, that was my problem with it. There's no details on what the rewards are. In order to find what the rewards are, you're going to have to either go to one of the blogs or you can go to the main page of the website, and it will have an article that will break down what the mission rewards are. I just went over them briefly just a minute ago, but that's what all these cards are for. Seriously, why is it not here now? Why does this not say what the rewards are? I don't get it. All right, we won't spend too much time whining about that. Tank Festival. This was the weekend thing to get 30 tickets. I'm actually pretty close. I may knock this out and see if I can get up to the top reward for the dog tags. I don't really remember. What was it? Was it worth it? Dog tags over here. This is the rewards. What do we got? Oh, okay. Festival outfit. So there you go. So I'm pretty close. Where am I at? 94. So I need 9 more. Yeah, I might be able to do that with the races, because remember the races go for another week, and there are tickets available there. So if you're near the top for your dog tags, then you've got a week. You're going to have to play the races, unfortunately. And again, this weekend you get the 30, so get on it if that's what you're doing. Because the time is growing short. I was going to say long, but it's not growing long. It's the shadows are growing long. The time is short, my friends. All right. I got an itchy ear. I should edit that out, but I'm not going to. So Great Race, Scavenger Hunt, talked about. India, Tank Festival, did that change order? Do I have 2 back to schools? What the? Oh, sorry. Back to school is the tank rewards. I mean, how many things do we have going on? It's awesome, isn't it? It's sort of hard to keep track of, and you really do. If you're trying to get through any one of those all the way to the end, you do have to kind of pay attention. It used to be a lot of these things you could just play the game, and if you played a lot, eventually they would all hit. Some of these are fairly specific, and you really have to dig in there and figure out which one you want to finish. I don't worry too much about them myself. I used to do all of them religiously. And I guess maybe that's kind of a negative, isn't it? Because there's so much, it's hard to focus on one thing. So, you know, we can whine about it whether there's too much, and we can whine about it whether there's not enough. That's the great thing, right? So it's always sad and everyone's angry all the time. Times 2 Crew Weekend. This one requires a code, my friends. If you forgot it, you're a little late. But I did, because I just did it this morning. Forgot all about it. But it's kind of these standard challenges, and you get some goodies along the way. So that's the standard stuff. Here's the other missions. Here's where your times 5s live, right here. So you'll see those, and you'll know how many of them you have, I think. So how many do I have? Does it tell me? I have 5. I have 20. There we go. There's the. Why is it not on this card? It's not on the card. You have to click the card. Then you know how many. Look at that. Oh my goodness. And premium missions are standard if you have premium. I think that's pretty much it for the missions, guys. Cool. All right, let's get to the meat of what we're going to talk about. Lots of stuff on subject. All right, I'm just about done with this cup. I'm going to have to go make another cup as I blabble. That should go on a blooper reel. Blabble. All right, Pearl River's coming back. Check it out. Do you remember that? Who played Pearl River? I did. 2 years ago, maybe 3, quite a long time ago. There was I was going to say it's a really cool map. I don't know if it was cool they removed it. It was very channelized. Let's say that. This was more open area over here. You could kind of move around the edges. This was just a middle brawl, face punching area, as was this area over here. And then you had sniper nests in the back. Pretty standard for most of their maps, actually. So maybe that was why it was. Maybe it just sucked. I don't know. I don't know if this is a picture of the new one, but you can see this big dead area in the middle where the 2 little mountains are. Hopefully it's opened up and made a little more open than the last version of it, but it is coming back. That's very good. That's one I hadn't thought about in a long time, actually. So Pearl River is coming back. What else we got? I'll check this out. So test 161 is in, or update 161 is in common test. So that means it's pretty close to coming out. I'd say in the next couple weeks at the most, maybe 3, potentially sooner. Is that vague enough? Anytime from like 10 minutes from now to a month. One of the things that it has, though, is tanks for bonds. Check it out. You'll see up there in the top right on mine, I've got 16,000 bonds. I haven't really gone after bonds too hard. A lot of people have. There are people with 30, 40,000 bonds out there, probably more, really, but that would be the high end, and then you've got the outliers past that. I'm sitting at 16,000 myself. So the tanks for bonds, and remember, if you play World of Warships at all, they have several ways that you can get premium warships. Coal and steel and some other things. So there's other types of credits out there for World of Warships. So this is a similar thing. Now we're building up bonds. All right, we're going to sell some tanks for bonds. This is what is currently in the common test. It doesn't mean it's the final version. It doesn't mean there's more, not less or more. It doesn't even mean that these are necessarily the tanks that are going to be available. But very interestingly, what is available is an M60. It's hard to see here. Doesn't have the number, but I want to say it's 15,000. Why is it? It's in the garage of this guy. Whoever took the pictures already got it. I think it's 15,000. So the tier 10 used to be Clan Wars tanks. 151B and the M60 are 15,000 bonds. Doesn't say what the RBFM is, but the tier 8 is 8,000 bonds. So that's these happen to be the T26 E5P and the AMX M449L, the ones that have the actual paint job on them, the Liberté paint job, and then the Patriot, I believe it is, paint job for those two. Unknown whether you'll be able to just get the standard one or you have to get the one that has the paint job. I have no idea. And then there's a T34 shielded. And obviously an RBFM. Again, I have no idea, no SA, I have no inside information on whether those are the actual tanks, but very interesting, and the price point's interesting. I think the price point for the tier 10s is maybe a little low, but we'll see what happens on those. Just thought I'd bring it up because it's kind of interesting. It is on the way. All right, let's get to the Developers Q&A Digest number 2. And this is all most of this was from Harkonnen's The Daily Bounce. Shout out to him. It's a great source if you want to dig into what's going on around the world of Tanks and World of Warships and several of the other games he follows. Okay, so 2019's big success. Here, these are some interesting bullets right here. And these don't appear to be necessarily, with the question and the answer and the interpretation thing. I have no idea if this is just paraphrased or what. I assume so, but some interesting things are coming out of this. The 430 is currently one of the strongest medium tanks. It's impossible to say when it will be reworked. This is followed up by, at the moment, there's no point in changing vehicles doing rebalance because they're in the middle of the sandbox iterations, which will be changing the ammunition. Remember, we've talked about that a couple times. So big changes to the ammo. Look at this, landmines. Landmine mechanics, quite difficult and complicated to deal with. And the upcoming sandbox want to test it further. So apparently they're testing. Anybody on the sandbox use the man line? The landmine mechanics. Is this just random stuff sitting around? Does it spawn randomly? Is it something a tank can put out? Is it a consumable? I don't know. Do we need landmines? You know what I'm saying? I feel like landmines are like already, but exploding up randomly at you as opposed to falling out of the air randomly at you. I don't know. That is the first I've heard of landmines, and I watched this pretty closely. I mean, have you guys heard it? That's very strange. All right, light tanks. Now this gets. Oh wait a minute. Let's touch on this one first. One of the priorities is the overwhelming number of battles with 3 SPG. Wow. Especially at tier 10. I've seen that. A lot of tier 10 games with 3 SPGs. Wargaming wants to reduce the number by changing the matchmaker. Look at this. These changes have already been introduced. Where did that news come out? Did you guys know that? I didn't know that. To the live servers, where the matchmaker will learn. What does that mean? It's learning, or it already knows, or I don't understand that. To distribute battles with SPG between 2, 1, and 0, the number of battles with 3 should now start going down. But on the other hand, the battles with 2... Wait a minute, hold on. Does that logically make sense? I'm trying to go through that in my mind right now. The number of battles with 3 should now start going down. Okay, yep. So you're prioritizing 2, 1, 0. I don't know how 0 works when you're trying to reduce the number of 3s. 0 seems like you'd have less of those, or just a longer queue. Not really sure how that works. Does that extra SPG just get shot out into the ether and now it's a 0 and he's deleted from the server, never to come back? I don't get that. And then it says, on the other hand, battles with 2, 1, 0 should increase. I think really what they're saying is the battles with 2 and 1 will increase. I feel like the only way to do that is the number of battles with 0 should also decrease, right? Less battles will have 0 because I'm spreading the SPGs across a wider group of 2s and 1s. Is that, I think mathematically that sort of makes sense, unless they're just making the wait longer. I don't know. Right? There's X number of SPGs in the queue. You've got to spread them across your games. If you're not going to give as many 3 battles, then you have to spread them amongst 2s and 1s. Because if you put one in a battle, it's not a 0 anymore. Interesting. All right. Again, this is someone's paraphrase, so it could be just as simple as a small mistake in the typing that he meant 2 1s should increase, but there you go. Light tanks at the moment, Wargaming doesn't want to limit them at all. I really think this is talking about wheeled tanks and not really light tanks, although the light tank meta is kind of going on, especially in front lines, and I feel like maybe that's a mixture of issues there, maybe. But I see a lot of games with a lot of light tanks, but I don't know if that really matters that much. In frontline, it does quite a bit. And I think they're maybe crossing the streams here because this is really an issue to me for wheeled tanks being the issue. So I don't know. I don't know. Trying to teach the matchmaker to create more battles with 3 to 0 light tanks instead of so many with 8 to 5. Making the matchmaker better distribute light tanks. I mean, I don't know. Is the problem the matchmaker will clump them all together and then you have several games without any light tanks? I don't know if I've really seen that or not, to be quite honest. And like I said, I think we're mixing the problem here a little bit. Potentially, I don't know really what the background on that is necessarily. Are you guys seeing games where it's just too many light tanks? I don't know. All right, new branches and tanks. Wargaming confirmed they're working on British wheeled vehicles and Japanese tank destroyers. All right, cool. Looking archives for new vehicles. Okay. Japanese tank destroyers will be announced before they are launched as always. Keep an eye out for information. The British wheeled ones will not be announced. No. I don't know why they said that specifically and not about the British ones. A branch of potential double-barreled tanks is already selected and ready to go if super test results are positive. A branch of double-barreled. That sounds like potentially like breaking off at tier 7 or 6 or something on the Soviet line, probably, and making a 7, 8, 9, 10 or an 8, 9, 10 or something to me. All right, thought that would be interesting to you guys. All right, let's look at the future and talk a little bit about what Guido's been doing. Well, all right, let's take a look at that then. I was talking about the future video that I made. What did I call it? So Winds of Change. There you go, Winds of Change. And what are the things that came out of that, which I thought were pretty interesting. I got a lot of great advice from you guys on that as I talked about the situation and what I wanted to try to do. And I decided to internalize a lot of that and to use a lot of that information because, not one of us is as dumb as all of us, right? So we've done it by committee. And now we have the worst possible solution. It's a compromise, but it's not going to work for anyone. That's what we have here. No, I'm just kidding. You guys had a lot of great advice. Said, hey, do it. Do this, do that, consider that. So I did some of those things. And we'll talk about the comments in just a minute. But what did I do? All right. Number one. On my page right here, as you can see, there is a PayPal donate button right there. Also, I will from now on put all of these links down in the description of all my videos. So you'll have a link to the PayPal, to the Patreon, and to the store. I'll show you those in just a second. The store was the funny one. I actually had a lot of fun messing around with that. So we have that. There's donate PayPal. The reason I'm going to do the PayPal and the Patreon is some people preferred PayPal, some people preferred Patreon. I get it. No problem. No worries. You can do it. You can actually set up a monthly thing to PayPal like you can to Patreon. I'm not bothered, whichever one you feel. If you feel the movement to help me, great. That sounded like... there. Supporting Guido's channel is like a movement after coffee. That's what I'm talking. All right, folks, keep it G-rated, okay? So there's a link right there. You can click it on that, click it on that, or you can go down to the description. Second thing is I started a Patreon page, and here it is. So it's Guido1212, patreon.com/Guido1212. You can see I've got 4 people signed up. That is actually visible, so you will be able to go to my page and see what I am being supported by, or how much I'm being supported by, and how many people at any time. So I decided to leave that one public because the whole, as I've talked about, the industry behind the industry, this is an interesting ride, and I thought people might be interested in how it goes, some of the behind the scenes. So what's going to happen on the Patreon page? Good question. Good question. There are 3 right now levels: the $5 community member, the community leader, and community boss. I know the names are terrible. If you got better ones, let me know. I didn't want to say, Padawan, Jedi Master. Is that what I should use? Something like that. Maybe there's something better. Maybe student, instructor, weapons officer. I don't know, something. The name is not important. What does it get you? So for the $5 one, that's access to exclusive videos. So I will be posting exclusive videos on Patreon. My promise to you is a couple things on that. Number one, they will either be my gameplay or they'll be patrons' gameplay. They will not be videos, gameplay that you guys send me. If you're not a Patreon, it won't be behind a paywall is what I'm trying to tell you. That will all be on YouTube, so no worries. And one of the reasons I'm going to do it this way is because we get down to the community leader at 15 or more. I may need to change that to, I didn't realize I went up $10. Probably should make that 10. You're going to have access to exclusive videos and priority for game reviews, which means that if you're a community leader and you send me a video for review, I will do that pretty much as soon as possible, and it will be put on the Patreon page. So if I get 4 guys saying, and they're all patrons, and they say, I want this reviewed, I will review those very quickly, and I will put them all, boom, right on the Patreon page. So the Patreon page may have lots of videos being generated. It may have none. We'll see what happens. For right now, that's how it's going to work. For the big one, the top level, you get all that as well as priority for specific video requests. As in, I get this on occasion. People say, hey, can you give me a good example of side scraping? Or can you show me how to play whatever map or whatever position or whatever tank, that kind of stuff. That one is a little bit more work in progress. I have done that in the past. One of the issues with that is making sure I can get the right content for it, which often requires me to play the game a bit to find that content. So that one will be probably worked on a little bit. All of this will be. We'll see what all the different things are, and if people have advice or things they would like to have added to certain levels, you know. So, and for $1,000 a month, oh, never mind. But oh man, I say that jokingly, but to some extent, it does feel like that a little bit, right? I'm just out there selling myself, man. Okay, so that's the start. That's where we are right now, open and honest. Again, my promise to you is that if you send me a video and I use it and you're not a patron, it's not going behind a paywall. It will be on the YouTube channel. So there you go. What I really try to do, especially with people I've never worked with at all, if they send me something, I try to use that pretty much immediately. So if you've never sent me anything and you want me to look at it, you can pretty much guarantee I will absolutely take a look at it, and it's probably going to make the YouTube page, unless it's pushing people out of a bush. Hold on, don't relax. We're getting there. All right. Last thing is on this particular part for what I've done is I built a store. This one was funny. So I found this. Klaus uses the same thing, and I was looking around thinking, all right, which one of these types of places am I going to use? And Teespring is what I came on. Whatever. Let's check it out and see how it works. So I made a couple designs. I got a mug. I got a shirt with 1212 Gaming logo. There's a Flying Circus hoodie with the patch on it. All right, guys. I have no idea what the quality of this stuff is. The t-shirt I picked was kind of the medium quality one, not the top of the line deal, but not the cheapest. I ordered a t-shirt. So let me get that t-shirt and do a review on it. I mean, if you want it, a mug's a mug. I mean, I don't know how badly they can screw up a mug, to be quite honest. No idea. And this is a sticker, so a sticker's a sticker. The clothing, let me review the clothing and I'll let you know. And if it's garbage, then I'll do something else. But if you want it anyway, because you get a giggle out of it, go for it. What happens with this, to be very 100% honest, is a portion of that money, in the case of the gaming tee, you can look it up, so there's no sense not telling you. $9 goes to me, the rest goes to the company, and then they charge you the shipping and it shows up at your place. By the way, this will also go to the UK, most of it. I think the sticker was US only, was weird, the sticker itself. The rest of them I think will go to UK or US. That's how it works. I get a cut, you guys get the stuff. The funny thing is I ordered the shirt, so I'm assuming I get the kickback, so the shirt's cheaper for me, I guess. So we'll see, man, we'll see. Click on the shirt, what's it do for me? Oh, there you go. So there it is. Look at this. 1212 Gaming. It's kind of a cool graphic, actually. My partner for 1212 Gaming, which is doing other stuff than just YouTube, his cousin did that graphic. He's a graphic designer, so I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so that's where we are on that. I've pulled the trigger on a bunch of that stuff. It's out there. Let's see where it goes, you know. If I'm the only one that ever buys a t-shirt, then right on. There you go. And notice I didn't buy a mug yet. I'm going to get the t-shirt. I want to know what the quality is. All right, winds of change. Here's the thing that's sort of the genesis of all this right here. Also, too, let's just do this first. Remember on that, I looked at some of the numbers and I talked a bit about what the numbers were. So I sat down one afternoon and I spent about 3 hours messing around with this. I'm going to show you a portion of the spreadsheet that I did. It's very caveman-esque, but it's got numbers and stuff. There's a lot more to it, which, by the way, that's going to be behind the Patreon page, paywall, as it were. Just to be honest, that's what it is, right? It's a paywall. I'm breaking every rule known to man on marketing right here, to be quite honest. I'm going to break it down even further on some projections over the years and things like that, and because I think it's just interesting for the industry itself. All right, I got interrupted by the door right there, but here it is. You can see the Excel spreadsheet. So what I did is I sat down, and I think I gave you some basic numbers last time, but I figured out my year to date. Basically, what have I made doing this for the year? Now that's changed a bit because some of you have piled on and helped out, and I've very much appreciated both the PayPal donations and the 4 Patreons that have started. So some of these numbers are a little bit different, but this is what they were a week ago before we started this. YouTube about 200, Twitch at 269. You know what's interesting about Twitch? And I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to it because I was just sort of cruising along, goofing off. So a sub is $4.99. That's $5. I guess the streamer gets half of that, $2.50. And if you're a big streamer, you get up to 100%, is my understanding, or at least 60-40 or more. I looked up the top streamer. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sure you guys know who he is, but he does Fortnite. Do you know what he makes a month? Just guess. I want you to just guess right now. Don't think of the most outrageous, stupid number like 10 Brazilians, right? It's not 10 Brazilians. But think of the like top end kind of, that's an out there number. And then I'm going to tell you what it is. Some of you probably know this. $895,000. That's not a year. That's a month. Holy cow. Now obviously that's the outlier number one guy. That's like saying, Tom Brady or whoever's got the number one. I don't even think Tom Brady has the number one contract right now. Whichever football player has the number one contract, and saying, that's the measurement stick. That's the outlier. But still, it is that the industry is huge. My personal take on Twitch is that at some point they're going to have to throttle back on the amount of money that they're giving streamers based on what the streamer's value is, because of the assumption here that it's about clicks and advertisement, much like YouTube recently did, where their model was unsustainable and they had to throttle back, because once they build up, then they can throttle back and they have enough base to keep going. So I figured Twitch is probably going to do this sometime, hopefully later than sooner, but right now that's how it works. So $2.50 a sub. I have about 22 subs or something like that. Ends up being $40 or $50 a month. You have to build up $100 before they'll pay out, which is pretty typical for a lot of these revenue sharing types of sites for the payouts. Somewhere around $100. YouTube, I think, uses the same number. And so every 2 months or so they pay out. So what have I got out of them so far? $269.43 for the year. PayPal, it was up to $104 before the week started. Coaching I put in at 0. This line I may not use because I think the coaching idea, which I got from some of you guys, and we'll go over the website in a minute and the comments that you guys made. I think the coaching idea is more caught up in the Patreon thing on the levels, so that if you want me to have access to coaching and help, then the Patreon level thing. And if you want to do a one-off coaching thing, if you want me to help you sit down, platoon with you, whatever, we can do that one-on-one and negotiate. But as a general idea, I started thinking, well, all right, what would I do? Did some research. $20 an hour, I guess, is something that is kind of a number that people use there. So I don't know. I guess the point of that rambling is I'm not sure if the coaching thing is really going to be a line item or it'll just be built into the rest of this stuff, baked into the rest of it. So in-kind from Wargaming is interesting. I went back and I found all the tanks that they gave me in the last year, and it ends up being, and I rounded the numbers a little bit there, but roughly $432 of tanks. So they give me a tank, I do a review, that's good for them, good for me on my channels, and that's how that works as a community contributor. So I thought that was kind of interesting. In-kind gifts are, a couple of you have sent some things to me. My P.O. box will also be down there on the description as well if you need to send a snail mail letter or something like that. And I average that out to about 200 on a couple things. The coolest thing I think is back here. I'm just going to give a shout out to these guys again. You can see the Guido 1212, the American flag. That's Braxton's Flags. So Braxton's Flags, they're on Facebook. Look them up. That's where I got that. And one of you guys sent me that, and that thing is amazing. I love it. I put it back there the whole time. I'm about to redo, shall we tangent? Let's tangent. I'm about to redo my command center. I have a big roll top desk that I've had for years and years and years. But it was built for the old CRT monitors, and it's got a nice open spot for a CRT monitor right in front of me. But it's got some shelving and stuff that's closer, and my screens are like right in my face, which is good when you're old, you know, so you can get up there and see what's going on, that kind of thing. That was probably way too much of my nose. So I'm redoing this. I'm going to get rid of the roll top, which has gone past its time of usefulness. And I've got a flat, bigger table. I can put my screens back there as well. So that is going. How did I get on that tangent? What the heck were we talking about? Oh, the flag. That's going to let me put that thing on the wall right in front of me so I can see it. All right. Where were we? So in-kind gifts. So the total was, I think the number was a lot less earlier, the first video. So it ends up being about 1,200 so far this year. And that breaks down to 268 days in the year. It's gone a few more days past that, but that's when I did the numbers. So 536 hours at 2 hours a day. And so it comes out as $225 an hour was what I got. Some of that's in-kind gifts, so it's not really cash money kind of idea, but you get the picture, right? That's a value to me, so I included it in there. What is not there, and I haven't done yet, and I intend to, because I did this and I went, well, that's pretty cool. And then I went, well, wait a minute. You also have some costs. They're not many, but the electricity for the computer, not a lot, but it's there. The internet connection, which I just upgraded so I could do this better, to get things uploaded faster. I don't get as many problems on my stream. That's important because I used to have a lot of choppy stream issues. Most of that's gone away, but I pay more. What else? The software that I use PowerDirector. Right now it's 15. I need to upgrade that in the near future so I can get more capability out of that. I use OBS. That's free, so that's nice. Streamlabs for the stream, free. So I try to use as much of the free stuff as possible in there. What else? Electricity. You get the picture, right? Photoshop. I actually have a Photoshop, which I'm just starting to get into a little bit. I actually have a Photoshop Adobe account yearly cost. So there are some costs in there involved as well, which will then reduce, if I just consider this a total profit here, will reduce that total profit. So I thought that was interesting. And then I broke down the weekly hours because I started thinking about it. I'm like, all right, do I really do 2 hours a day? Is that valid? I actually probably do more, but some of that's my leisure time just playing the game. So I really didn't count that. So I tried to actually think about it. It takes me about 2 hours to do a Coffee Talk webisode a week. Really, it's probably a little bit more by the time I get it edited and sent out. But a lot of times I can get it start to crunch the video itself, and I can walk away and do other things. So it's about 2 hours. Streaming about 6 a month, or 6 a week. That might be a little high, but that is the time it takes to get everything set up, to get ready to do it, to do the social media, all the other BS. And then video creation for the community is about 6 hours a week. Whether it's just sitting down making one or editing them or putting them on YouTube or managing the YouTube page. And now you could throw in a little bit other stuff, managing the Patreon page, managing the store, all the other little things that you do right there. So weekly total of 14. So after I broke down numbers and thought about it, I said, all right, that's pretty valid. That's about right. So anyway, that's where we are. I have some other interesting numbers on there as well, but like I said, I'll put that. I'm going to do a video for the Patreon guys to check that out. So if you're interested in that, there you go. Now I've sold out to the man. Now I'm a big jerk. Everything has to be behind a paywall. All right. Frankly, the people who are just here for the game may not even be interested in that kind of thing. So there you go. If you are interested in that kind of thing, you'll get more of it over on Patreon. All right, cool. So thanks for listening to that. So here's the comments, and I thought these were good. I'm going to actually respond to them right here as opposed to type it in there because I thought they were pretty cool. So we got Latvia's perfectly normal. You only have so much time and money. That's very true. Paying customers priority. It's the way the world is. Appreciate reviewing the ones of mine you did. So you're definitely welcome, Latvia's. Latvia's has been around for a long time. Very active also on the responses down here. So comment section, that's what it is. Appreciate that. Hans von Twitchy. Hans von Twitchy, he keeps me on my toes. I like him because he's contrary a lot of times and does not agree with everything I say, which is fantastic. He's actually got a lot of good input. He's also a little edgy, so tamp it down, Hans von Twitchy. Just kidding, man. Perfectly reasonable way of operating. In the real world, of course, you pay for someone's labor. In the internet world, people can have widely varying expectations. This comment was actually why I wanted to do it this way, because he's so right, and it's so fascinating actually to me, hopefully to you as well, on how it works. But at the end of the day, you can't devote your life to people who want everything for free. That's completely valid. I hope it works well for you. I appreciate that, Hans, and I do appreciate your inputs, because you're one of the guys that keeps me on my toes. Which is funny because, dude, you don't know my name. Dude, you don't need my name is kind of similar to Hans in that he also keeps me on my toes. A lot of you do, but these two in particular. Sellout. Oh my gosh, come on. Just kidding. That was awesome. That comment cracked me up. We all know food needs to go on the table. All right, so let's, as I am being completely 100% honest with you, and I understand what he's saying right there. This is certainly not a case of Guido needs this to put food on the table. That is not it in any way, shape, or form. So this has been kind of the reason that I've hesitated to do this kind of deal and expand it into this area, making it look like, and it's the reason, frankly, why people don't talk about the money piece of it in this industry or any real business industry. Nobody wants the other guy to know how they live and what they have and how they're doing when they're trying to sell them something, because it then goes into the calculus of whether maybe they want to help you out or buy your stuff or whatever. And it's not necessarily at the forefront, but it's always the untold or untalked about thing. So I thought that was really interesting. So that's not really where I am. But again, if I'm going to continue creating and doing this, this is the direction I have to go on. So there you go. Let's see. I don't think anything you said in this video approaches the line, and that's exactly what I was talking about right there. And that was an incredibly nebulous description, but I think everyone understands what I was talking about there. Frankly, I'm surprised you're not on Patreon. I am now. Thank you. That's one of the first guys that suggested that. Jingles made mention in his latest Mingles about the most recent YouTube verified Charlie Foxtrot. He said he's now actively considering sponsorships. Oh, so what happened there? That only hit a lot of the big guys because people have copycat channels. So I will know I have arrived if I get a Guido copycat channel or somebody is stealing my content. That happens. Jingles more than likely has a lot of issues with that. I have zero so far as I know, issues with that. And so what they did is they started messing around with that, and some people got unverified because they were the person, but somehow were unverified as the person. It was a mess. Mostly a PR disaster for YouTube, but I think they actually got ahead of it pretty quick and fixed it. That's just Guido's opinion. So that's what he's talking about there. You should get something for your efforts, and I think a donation for a submitted replay. So I thought that was good. As far as considering sponsorships, I haven't watched enough Jingles to know why he would be adamantly against it. I think it's the whole sellout thing that people don't like. That, oh, you're just trying to sell me razor or whatever it is. I'll be honest with you. If it's a cool thing and they want to sponsor me, I'd be all over it. I think the sellout part is if you honestly just are hawking whatever comes along and they want you to, they give you enough money and you hawk it and you know it's crap, but you do it anyway. That, to me, that's the sellout piece. If somebody wants to offer me some good gear, and for example, Braxton's flags, get one. They're awesome. See what I'm saying? And they're not even paying me. It's just a good product. All right, enough of that. Flea says, sounds like a good move to me. Being strapped with Social Security. All right, this one I wanted to address. Absolutely. It's another reason why I wanted to do this. Look, man, if you're brothers, if you are on a fixed income and things are, I do not expect a penny from anyone like that. Right? Keep your $5 for coffee. Have your coffee while you're watching the videos on YouTube, and salute to you, brother. Please do not, Again, it goes into what you can afford and what your personal druthers are. I won't tell you yes or no as far as that goes, but please do not feel like Guido needs that $5 because he's starving and you're on a fixed income. F that, no way. Salute to you, Flea, man. I know you've been through a lot of stuff, brother. All right, Night Dog. I'd like to know in what form, best benefit. So I had a lot of comments like that. Hey, well, all right, fine, dude. What do you want? What are you going to set up? And that's when I did that last week and started really looking into it. I had the PayPal link on my page for a long time, but it's a little tiny link down in the bottom right. And I didn't ever really talk a lot about it. And people did give me some PayPal stuff every once in a while. And there's a couple of you who have really supported me a lot, which I appreciate, over the last year and a half, 2 years. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. But, you know, Night Dog just, all right, dude, you said it, now what? Well, we got Patreon, if you're interested. I just broke that down. Still, the PayPal is there. The links are down below. There's a store. There you go. So you guys go crazy or not. It'll be awesome. Please let us know where our contributions would be best applied. Oh, the one thing I did not mention, although only in kind of passing, if you want to subscribe to Twitch, that's a great way to do it as well, right? Because I get the half of that comes in monthly. If you have Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime, then throw me that sub. Technically, it costs you nothing. Obviously, it costs you to have Amazon Prime, so nothing's really free. But that's a great way to do it support-wise as well. Noble Wolf says, I see Mr. Bones. Yeah, that's the, if you can see that down there, Mr. Bones is attached to me there. So we got a little Guido's Flying Circus using Mr. Bones there. Chad says, I'm putting this out there, a monthly donation, 5 or 10. A cup of beer wouldn't hurt if you enjoy Guido's content. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Bonzi says, watch your channel grow. It's been great. Been very helpful, myself and obviously others. Oh, by the way, Bonzi has a channel. So check out his channel. If I can remember, I'll put the link down there with the rest of the stuff there, Bonzi. Doing a similar thing, but awesome. It's always great to get different views. This goes to the learning piece of the channel, which we're going to talk about in just a little while on the next video. So thanks, Bonzi. I appreciate that. JDF says, I'm cool with the idea to ask. Can't think of any reason why it's a no-go. In addition, I suggest the link to PayPal in this description. That's where I got the idea. Thank you. I know several other YouTubers do the same thing. Why I wasn't, I couldn't tell you necessarily. Had to search how to donate, so hopefully I've cleared that up today for you guys. D says, appreciate your candor and thank you for including us in your adventure. I wanted to touch on this one because that's part of, as it sort of evolved, I've like, you know what, a lot of people do gaming videos. You know, they do funny ones, they're just great players, all that stuff. Why not also add into a little bit of the story of how this works? So that's kind of where I got that idea, or that goes with that idea. TDF, I saw this yesterday but haven't commented till now, as I suspect a ton of positive comments. Everything you said is reasonable. I've watched most of the guys in reference to your videos. However, I watch it mostly. I appreciate that. I really do. It's really interesting seeing behind the curtain. I didn't think it was lucrative, but I thought it was better than that. Yeah, interesting, isn't it, actually? Now, the numbers I just showed you make it better than I put out last time. As I delved deeper and kind of really broke it down, you know, it's better than I showed, which is why I wanted to be just completely open and honest with how this works, because I just think it's really interesting. How many times have I said that today? 100? Guido, you never mentioned your PayPal. I talked about that. Start asking for donations in all your videos. I don't know if I want to get quite to that, but I will put the links there. I will put the links. I think letting donators go to the front of the line is a good idea, but delete that part about $5 for the 3 replays. What is that, 2 hours of work? That's probably a good suggestion, and sort of why when you look at the PayPal level or the Patreon levels, that's why I changed that a little bit. I'll do priority, and it may come to the point where I have to make it more. You know, I can always adjust fire as required there. Excellent video. I appreciate hearing your thoughts. Did I cut you? And your openness and honesty about the situation. I'm surprised on how little revenue is actually received from YouTube. So that's what I mentioned earlier. It really got cut down about a year ago. That's where that little blurb was, where I made it and then I got cut off and I had to get bigger again before I got the revenue sharing. And it used to be kind of the level of Twitch's, and that's why I'd say I sort of see the writing on the wall, and Twitch is probably going to have to adjust fire in the relatively near future. I mean, maybe the direct money they get from people actually subscribing is holding that up and it works for them. That's a little bit different than YouTube potentially, because paid subscriptions on YouTube I don't think are nearly as big as Twitch, but I don't know. I may have to look into that a little bit more. All right. Asking for donations sounds perfectly reasonable. Offering personalized replay reviews. I've occasionally subbed to your Twitch channel. I do appreciate that, Nick. So I consider this change an optional paid service. Awesome. Pilgrim's been a huge supporter. A shout out to him. All you guys have that I just read. In fact, I recognize all those names, all those guys. Everyone who's commented here are the usual commenters. But Pilgrim's also been a huge supporter and very helpful along the way with several different things. I get it. This has become a point where you need to make a decision. Yep, that's kind of where it was. If it starts to impact your ability to earn $1 to support, and again, I wanted to cover that because it's not a case of holy cow, I'm dying over here. I can't even put food on the table. No, that's not it. That's not it. But it is time-wise taking up time compared to the compensation, which is why we're talking about it. Sounds fair to me. Honesty is what we love. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to do here. This actually plays into the next section that we're going to go into. All right, so I'm going to try to wrap this up pretty quick, but I think the next section is more specific to the YouTube, but the whole honesty thing is part of that as well. I think you should go in the direction. Very good at analyzing play. I appreciate that, James. Appreciate that. Love the channel. I say do what it takes. Right on. What you propose is perfectly reasonable. Absolutely. Thanks, Adam. Wiley Coyote. Sounds fair. Now, I did want to cover one other big subject on this. Obviously, right now, it's people who like my content, and we're having a big echo chamber fan fest here. Okay, I get that, and I appreciate it. So there are 1,600 subs on the channel. There were 35, 40 comments right there of those 1,600, and the video got seen 200. So really, it's the core guys who enjoy what's going on and are willing to comment and be active. So that's another part of it. I ran some numbers on Klaus's channel and some of the other big channels on how many he has, how many views he gets, and then what his Patreon level looks like, and I will talk about that on the other video. It's some interesting findings, actually. As you might guess, it's a small percentage of the big group of subs who actually do active support. You're a great teacher, creatively and educationally. Thanks, Otto. Thanks, man. I've seen Patreon mentioned here a couple times. Yep, he says he's there if I do it, and I appreciate it, man. Silver, 100% supportive. Silver has also been huge support. Big piece of Guido's Flying Circus. I've known him for quite a while, actually. So right on, dude. Internet known. Mr. Nona's been here from almost day one. Hugely appreciative of his support and his comments. Perhaps a patron drive. I'm assuming Patreon is what you were talking about. So we're there. We've done it. And Chad is irritated by autocorrect. Aren't we all, Chad? I turned it off on my iPhone. I did. But I don't know what's worse. What is worse? The stupid autocorrect? Because it does fix some of the words. So what's worse? The autocorrect making really silly things, or typing out a whole paragraph and finding there's 14 things you have to fix? I don't know. I actually don't know what's worse. I think they're both terrible. Maybe if autocorrect was better. You know what I'm saying? Wayne says, love your work. Nothing wrong with pay to play. Right. We do not talk about politics here. All right. Marta Valdez Cruz is, I love old Marta because he's much like Hans and Dude. He keeps me on my toes. If I say something dopey and he doesn't like it, he lets me know. I appreciate that. Now, he's got a long list here. The choice is on you. The thing is growing and you're watching it grow. Talks about some small business. Again, he gets pretty deep into business and things like that, which is cool. So I did appreciate that, Marta. I did look at that. I'll internalize some of those things, and that's part of the whole running the numbers, because I ran numbers and did things like this for 1212 when we started it. We started developing software and doing some of these things, and then I kind of did a smaller version of it with this, part of the business, or this little Guido 1212 business that's sort of starting and growing. All right, cool. That is it for this. Let's go on to, well, let me just wrap this up for this part. Thank you for your support. There are multiple ways to do it. They're all down there in the description. I appreciate it all. There's still going to be the free YouTube channel. That's going to be my primary focus, as well as getting a little bit more into the streaming along the way there. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And I also appreciate your advice. So awesome. All right, let's move on to the video that was a little bit controversial this week. All right, cool. Enough of that BS. Let's get back to some pixel tanks and talk about tactics and stuff like that. So the tactics question of the week is actually going to be discussing this video and your responses to it. And I thought it was really, really interesting what everybody had to say about it. And I knew it was going to be a little bit controversial and people would take issue with me even having it on the channel. But I'm going to explain to you at least from my standpoint, why I put it there and why I think it's important and what I think we can get out of it. So without further ado, it was the lots of ways to win. This is one where a player pushed a guy out of a bush at the very beginning and then camped in his KV2 and won the game and had some pretty funny derp moments and things. I got the video or the replay and I looked at it and I as I described in the beginning of my video, I said I almost didn't use this. In fact, I leaned heavily towards not using it, but I felt like there was something to learn here. And it was kind of funny later on with the derp shots and things like that. So I thought that was interesting as far as gameplay goes, not because it was a fantastic example of how to no kidding play a KV2 to your utmost, but because it was funny to watch some of those derps happen, especially the blind shot on the moving wheel tank. And I think everybody would have been just fine with that had at the beginning he not pushed a guy out of a bush. I think they would have had, all of us would have had an issue with, camping the bush and some other things, but, some pretty funny shots. But what happened at the beginning is someone got pushed out of the bush. Now, I don't talk a lot about negatives on my videos, but this actually has a -3, which is one of the higher negatives. There's no real reason to it. People don't have to like my stuff, and that's fine. And if they want to put a negative on it, go for it. But this one has a higher percentage than most, I think, because of, I'm going to say featuring, but that's not really what I was trying to do, featuring a guy pushing someone out of a bush. All right. We'll talk about it as we go, but let me give a general reason why I put this thing out. And this isn't really a defense. It doesn't matter whether you liked it or not. It's out there, and there it is. It does matter, I guess, whether you liked it or not, but you understand what I'm saying. It is what it is. I saw it. I saw him push the guy out of the bush, and the idea is that, all right, let's feature this. Let's talk about that particular action. Let's talk about why it's a bad idea. Let's talk about why it irritates people. Let's talk about why you shouldn't do it. And it goes down to instruction and what I've learned over long years of flying fighters and instructing kids. And this is a pixel tank game, so it's not nearly as life or death as that was and is for people still doing it. But we can apply some of that learning type of process to pixel tanks. So I'm going to give you a kind of story here real quick from flying, which some of you guys have asked. And it's not necessarily just a single flying story, but when you are a instructor, it is completely up to you what happens in that flight. So if you've got a student and he's not qualified in the jet, everything that happens, good or bad, you are responsible for. So when you get back and you see the bad things, you have to address them. The only way they get fixed is by debriefing them and addressing them. If you ignore them or act like they're not there or not feature it as a thing that happened, then there's no learning that happens. There's no learning that happens. So I think that's hugely important. So in this case, I thought, all right, let's feature this thing. Let's talk about it, get it out in the open, and see if we can't help this person not do stuff like that. That really is the bottom line. So there were some great responses. Let's look at this. Mad Dog says, still waiting for the carry. I forgot about Mad Dog. I don't think he commented on the last thing we were talking about. He also keeps me on my toes. Mad Dog has a lot of knowledge in the game. Camping heavy tank. Wait for everyone to blunder in front of his gun. There are many ways to win this, is often not one of them. That is completely valid. And I don't know if I specifically said it, but hopefully I got that out there that you can win this way, but you're probably going to end up losing more than you win in this manner. Nona says, don't become the person who pushes teammates out of a position. Doing so will eventually lead to a ban. It definitely does not endear you to teammates. It is a good thing there was no team damage anymore in this particular case, because there would have been some shots exchanged. More than likely. The 3002 did shoot the medium. I think it was a 3002. Did shoot the KV2. Had there been actual team damage, I imagine the KV2 may have turned and blapped him. Typically, I do not support players that do this. I 100% agree. KV2 is corridor monster. He talks about the KV2, so that's absolutely true. End-game use of backstop to prevent enemies from doing circle death, also a good idea. So what I liked about Nona's is he's like, hey, he's going to talk about that a little bit. But then he says, all right, here's some of the good things I saw or some of my comments on the gameplay. And that's kind of what I'm looking for on this channel, right? That's one of the goals I've stated from the very beginning. It's a learning channel. And even if you are, as Nona said, acting as an asshat, we can still, in an adult, calm, rational manner, discuss what you did and why it wasn't a good idea, without kind of, you know what I'm saying, without kind of getting up in their arse about it. All right. And that's important in instruction, right? When I had a kid do something bad, if I got back in the debrief and all I did was scream at him, that shuts down communication, and pretty soon he's not listening to me. He may know full well that everything that he did was bad, but if I'm screaming about it, he's not learning how to fix it. He's just going, whatever, this guy's a jerk. Yeah, I noted I screwed up, but you're a jerk, so anything you say past now, I don't care. That's just human nature and how it works. All right. I'm a fan of playing your tank the way you want, so this is hard for me. Agreed, Adam. If you want to camp base, play a TD. If you want to camp base, then play a TD and save the heavy tank spot for someone to be more supportive. Anything I say about this is going to come out wrong, so I'll leave that alone. I appreciate that, Adam, but I think you basically said it. That was good, right? All right, yeah, that's probably not the way to play your heavy tank, and pushing people around is not a good idea. Thanks for the video. I appreciate that, Adam. Dude says, you should thank Guido for his grandmotherly kindness. I wanted to address this because I don't consider it grandmotherly kindness, and I get where people are coming from. They'd rather me come down off the top rope and hammer him. But go back to what I talked about on instruction. That's not how you do it. It isn't how you do it. It doesn't work. You can scream and go crazy and tell people they're bad and they're tomatoes and jerks and all that stuff, but it's not going to go anywhere. Now, if the same guy sent me 5 more videos of doing the same thing, then okay, we can probably change the tune of how we're going to address that guy at that point. But this is a one-off example. He sent me honestly asking for, hey, what do you think of this? And I gave him my honest opinion. I think that's completely valid. And frankly, it deserves to be commented on that you don't push people out, but it doesn't deserve to get flamed and destroyed off of the one example. I know people disagree with me, but that's why I'm bringing this up, because that's how I look at it from, again, 23 years of training kids how to fly fighters. God protects fools and drunks, you betcha, Jeffrey. That's the term I think I couldn't remember. I am not as forgiving as you, Guido. I turned this off at 146. Total jerk. All right, fair enough, but I think we've addressed that a little bit. Again, I think we can work with people until they prove we can't. And I think one example potentially of a replay is maybe not enough to go, all right, this guy's just a complete jerk. He might be, but I don't feel comfortable coming off the top rope when I'm just trying to help him out a little bit, at the moment anyway. Yeah, that bush can hold a couple tanks, maybe an accident, but if so, you should apologize. I agree 100%. You are so right. VK shot him and let him know he's unhappy. Yeah, absolutely. That is what happened. I think the push was completely 100% intentional. I just always leave that out. Another thing about instruction that you have to be careful for, and we've found this out on my channel several times, is when you make an assumption about what they were thinking and then extrapolate some instruction past that, when you get back into the debrief and you say, hey, why did you do that? And you already have an assumption of what it was, and they tell you something completely different that is actually important. You're like, oh, okay, got it. Now I know why you did that, but it has nothing to do with what I thought it was. All right, I'm not saying that's a possibility here necessarily. Well, I am saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's a high probability. All right. Hero of the game was the VK, polite enough to put the early game rudeness behind him. Probably true, Anthony. Yep, good point, great point. Could have done without this one, Guido, nowhere near what you usually post. All right, fair enough, I'll take that, I got you. Again, I knew it was going to be an irritating video for some people, but based on what I just said, that there was my reason for why I did it. I'm hoping that we helped the guy, right? That's the point. I am hoping that we helped the guy. Play question of the day. When you get to play, oh yeah, I answered that to John. Jonathan's awesome. He has a lot of questions about flying, which is good stuff, man. I think I answered it down there. Oh, that's a complete sidebar. So if you have any more questions, Jonathan, fire away, man. And I know you've said multiple times that you hope you're not irritating. You're not irritating me. If I have time, I'll answer it. If I'm busy, I won't. So there you go. That's how we roll with that. Dark Beat. I wouldn't say he won the game. More the other team lost it. Fair enough. But that happens a lot, doesn't it? You know what I'm saying? I have plenty of videos of me playing where I say, here's what I did to win. And you might look at it and go, yeah, but they did a lot of stuff to lose. Yeah, noted. So the question is, how did you react to what they did to lose to make sure you won? So there you go. Now, this one may lean a little heavier towards the other team was pretty potato-ish. But again, we see a lot of that stuff in this game. One thing you can't fault is the analysis and Guido. Thank you. Appreciate that, Darkby. Todd said 1 downvote. I report all players who push people out. Todd, there was 2 of you, I think. I think I'll get to it in a second. Did someone else say downvote? No, I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, thank you. Usually I just get a downvote and nobody says anything, and you don't have to tell me why. That's fine. But I appreciate that. And basically he says, hey, there's a downvote. You showed a guy pushing a guy out of a bush, and that's garbage. And I say, well, we can act like it doesn't happen, ignore it, or we can try to correct it. There's 2 choices there. And that's kind of where I come from. But Todd, I appreciate the honesty. Thanks, man. John, I forgot about John. John keeps me on my toes too. You never bottom tier in a KV2. I'm a little lost on that one. I gave it a upvote though. I'm gonna give it a heart. I forgot about the heart. The heart, by the way, means that I saw it. Grandmotherly, good game, but weird. Great replay analysis. I appreciate that. It was kind of weird. Guido, Klaus, and French toast. Only way to start the day. I should have left that till last because that's a fact. At least the French roast piece. Cheers. By the way, it is Starbucks today. French roast. That's what I have. It's delicious. I splurged at Sam's. I absolutely splurged. Instead of getting the 100 box of Sam's Club, whatever it's called, Maker's Mark, I got the 72 cup Starbucks and spent another $10. Still a good deal because it's the big box, but there you go. Enough said about pushing teammates for your favorite location. I like that because we're getting towards the end and we've said a lot about it. So valid, Chad. Enough said. I'm generally inconsistent in my KV2. Good Lord, isn't everybody? Holy cow. The thing shoots behind itself sometimes. Cover and support. Thanks for the replay. You are welcome, sir. So besides Pit of Doom, where is a slow heavy tank supposed to go? This map and proc, I really struggle. All right, so let's just end this with a little tactics. What do you guys do? Well, for me, yeah, is it the north? I think it's the north. Let's get this fast forward a little bit and see if I can find the mini map. All right, so there's the mini map. Hard to see, but it is the north. From this spawn, heading up here, I try to clear out these dunes. You do have to be careful, though, if there's a lot of arty and they have hold-down tanks hanging out here, it's hard to get by. From the southeast spawn, it's much easier to win the north. But even in a heavy, I'll often come up here because a heavy in amongst the mediums and lights as a backup and a strong point to push in can be very effective. You can go to the Pit of Doom. I just don't like it because you're going to fight in there the whole game and win or die. Yeah, there's no options. Even up here with the heavy, there's fewer options, but at least you can kind of move through here. You can flex back, flex to your cap. You can slowly push up to the top and come down eventually, or move through this dune right here. So really, I think that's your best bet. Situationally, and it's also not a bad idea taking heavies down here and fighting on this corridor because there are some hold down positions back here. Here on this little, you can't see it, but there's a dune right there that both sides can use right there. So that is another option. Consider the southern flank right there as well. All right, this has been a long coffee talk, guys. We talked about a lot of stuff. I wanted to address this particular video because I know it irritated some of you, and hey, that's fine. I would not make a habit of showing people pushing other people. I don't agree with it. I think it's the wrong thing to do. I've talked about it. If you've ever watched me stream, I go crazy when people push me or block me or get behind me. I do not like that at all. But I thought it was a teachable moment, right? And I know that a lot of the comments like, yeah, whatever, you know, the guy who has 20,000, he's a jerk. You're not going to teach him anything. All right, maybe, fair enough, maybe. But I gave it a shot, didn't I? So that's the point right there, especially for this channel, is to try to help as many people as possible to play the game better. There you go. Wow. All right, that was a long one, guys. We're going to wrap this up. I got to editize this thing, and I'm going to go count my money. Scrooge McGuido. I'm going to go dive into all the coins and swim around and all this newfound cash because I am rich. 890,000 a month. Pretty soon that's going to happen. Oh man. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That is it for Coffee Talk. Enjoy your coffee if you're watching, or you're having your coffee while you're watching. What? I can't even talk. It's done. I'm done. I'm out of here. Later.